All right, guys, welcome back to the Big Vision podcast. As you can see by who's in the room, we're going to have an incredible podcast episode for you. But before we get into this, we would just like to highlight our main partner, which is First Responder Blinds. First Responder Blinds is very generous to the podcast. They take care of us. They give us this nice studio to meet in. And if you need blinds, plantation shutters, roller shades, any type of window treatment, whether you're residential or commercial, give them a call. And remember, windows need heroes too. So we're going to go over the podcast disclaimer real quick. The Big Vision podcast is committed to providing voters and members of the community with information and educational conversations with candidates and public officials. The appearance of any guest on this program does not constitute an endorsement, recommendation, or support of the Big Vision podcast as partners or affiliate organizations. Guests are invited to share their views, qualifications, experiences, and positions on issues relevant to the public. Reasonable efforts are made to provide opportunities for various candidates and public figures to participate. Viewers are encouraged to conduct their own research, review official candidate materials, and make independent decisions at the ballot box. Opinions expressed by the guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the viewers of the host partners of the Big Vision podcast. My God, I'm out of breath reading that. Ladies and gentlemen, for a third time, please welcome to the podcast Judge Brad Ekdahl.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judge, for being on.
Thank you. Love to be here.
Yes, listen, the Judge this is his third appearance. We appreciate him taking the time and showing us some love. So, Judge, let's just get right into this.
Yes, sir.
What is the 19th Judicial Circuit Judge, place number 5?
That's a great question, and I think it's a question that needs answering because there's been a lot of confusion. Circuit 19 encompasses 3 counties, Elmore, Autauga, and Chilton counties. Elmore is place 1, Autauga is place 2, Chilton County is place 3. Now, since time began, we have had 3 circuit judges, 1 for each county.
Okay.
Senate Bill 39, which was passed May 23rd of 2023, created 2 new positions, place 4 and place 5. What's interesting about those positions is they're not assigned to any particular county, they're at large. Yeah. They roam the 3-county area. But here's where the confusion comes in. Place 4 is a domestic relations only circuit judge. Statutorily created, that judge can only hear domestic relations cases. Place 5 is a general jurisdiction circuit judge. So to answer your question better, that judge, as in the first 3 judges, will hear the heavy felonies to include murder and capital murder, questions of equity, meaning injunctions or restraining orders, just as an example, civil issues in excess of $20,000, domestic relations, and appeals from lower courts like the municipal court or, say, the district court. So handling everything in all of those areas for all 3 counties. Place 5 seat has not yet been filled. Place 4 was filled last year. Place 5 is still open, and that's what I'm currently running for.
And, you know, for people who don't understand, man, the circuit judge is a very important position. So if I understand it correctly, Judge, it's the next highest court is the Court of Appeals.
Yes, that's correct. Either the Civil Court of Appeals or the Criminal Court of Appeals, and then finally the Supreme Court.
Right. So this is very significant. If you live in Autauga County, Elmore County, or Chilton County, June 16th, this directly affects you. You've got to get out and go vote. So, Judge, now that you've explained what the circuit judge is, in 1 minute, why should the voters choose you for that position?
Experience. I have been the prosecutor for the city of Prattville for the last 11 years. I have been the judge of Millbrook, Alabama for the last almost 4 years. I'm currently also the special probate judge of Autauga County. I fill in for Judge Curvin when she has conflicts. In addition to that, I did 4 years with the district attorney's office, prosecuting many jury trials, heavy felonies, the bad stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I was assigned to 2 separate SWAT teams as legal advisor, and I was an on-call autopsy attorney as well. I've owned and operated a small law firm in Prattville for the last 15 years, since 2011. I've done a myriad of experiences inside the legal profession. I interned for the governor's office for a while in the finance legal division.
Wow.
And wrote the contract between the shrimpers down in Bayou La Batre and the state of Alabama when Hurricane Katrina came through.
Oh, that's neat.
So I've had quite a bit of experience in these different areas. I serve as a guardian ad litem for children and incompetent adults. That requires a special degree of licensing beyond just being an attorney.
Okay.
You have to go take a class and
Yeah.
get a certification and then keep that certification
Yeah.
current. So I've done the domestic relations work, and as far as the criminal work, on any given day, I'm either a judge, a prosecutor, or a defense attorney. So I've done all 3 of those areas. I think it uniquely qualifies me because I have a fair perspective. I'm not coming into a judge's position as a prosecutor or as a defense attorney. I like to say I've done it all. Of course, no one except him has done it all.
Yeah.
But it's quite a breadth, and continue to do it. Service is important. Service to the community really builds and furthers where we're going.
Yeah. You know, just I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, I'm just a good old country red-blooded American dude, and I think it's important that we have people like people who are running for what you're running for, that they understand, man, that this is a place of service. And, you know, I really think that you embody that for the people. And, you know, I'm excited about this whole, you know, because there's runoffs everywhere, you know, and it's an exciting and challenging time for Alabama. And, man, I'm just glad that we have great candidates. And so, man, the people are going to be blessed. So let me ask you this, Judge. What unique strength would you bring to the bench that voters may not know about?
Service. Like I said, it's really my attitude that stewardship be kept the essential focus. That bench, that robe, that gavel, they don't belong to me. They belong first and foremost to God, but then secondly, they belong to the people. Service, as I stated, it's so important, and I so admire the people who do it regularly. If we're not serving one another and serving God, the whole thing kind of falls apart.
Yeah, you're right. Let me ask this, Judge. If elected, what kind of judge do you hope attorneys and the citizens describe you as after your first year?
Smart.
Yeah.
I want to be known as smart. I want people to see me knowing the law and applying the law
Yeah.
fairly and accurately every time.
Yes.
If that's not done, then people lose a belief in the bench. And once we've lost belief in the bench, where are we then?
Yep. And, you know, I think that's a big deal for the people, and for people who support you, and for people who are thinking about supporting you, because, you know, when you have a runoff, this is very common, you know, that people voted one way, and then when they see something else, they vote another way. So
Sure.
I think it's good for the people to see their candidate actually do what they say they're going to do.
Right.
So I appreciate you answering that. Let's ask this, Judge. How do you ensure every person receives a fair hearing, regardless of their income status or background?
That's another great question. We have in Millbrook Municipal Court, we have affidavits of hardship. All courts carry these things, and I make it very clear. If you cannot afford an attorney and are requesting one, I will appoint you one. So that's first and foremost. But we don't do anything on an income-based. You're not going to get treated better because you have more money. That's never going to happen in my court. People deserve to be treated fairly, and what that means is applying the law equally across the spectrum.
Yes. Let me ask this, Judge. In your experience, you see certain movies or certain just things out on social media where someone decides that they're not going to have legal representation, and they're just going to go before the judge, and they think they know the law. Do you recommend that?
Oh no, absolutely not. And Abraham Lincoln is famously quoted as saying, "He who represents himself has a fool for a client."
Yeah.
Legal.
That's a great quote, by the way.
It is, and legal training is something. Lawyers go to school for 4 years to get a bachelor's degree, but then they go for another 3 to get that legal degree. Yeah. Then they have to sit for the bar exam, which is not easy. And then a good many of us have in-court trial experience.
Yeah.
The rules of evidence, the Alabama rules of evidence, and the Alabama rules of criminal procedure and the Alabama rules of civil procedure are very difficult.
Yeah.
These are not easy things to comprehend, even for law students, much less a layperson. So, representing yourself is never...
It's just not a good idea.
It's not. And, they make courts for that. The small claims court division of district court is set up so that, and it's referred to as pro se, but pro se litigants can go in there by themselves and kind of seek some justice that way. But no, never a good idea.
Yeah. And, that's just good. I also encourage all of our viewers to go back and watch the previous episodes, because Judge Ekdahl gives some incredible legal advice. Just experience that just comes out of him. And, I think that's important. And remember, if you're going to go to court, even if you don't or can't afford it, an attorney will be appointed to you, and take it. Let's talk about this, Judge. What qualities do you believe are most important in a circuit judge?
I think we really can't underestimate the importance of judicial demeanor. A judge should be pleasant. And I don't mean to suggest overly nice or falling over backwards, but I just mean pleasant. Courteous is an even better word. They need to be intelligent. They need to be hardworking. The case volume, especially in the 19th Judicial Circuit, is not going down. With the increase in population, it's going up. So to be conscientious, to be courteous, to be smart, and to be hardworking, that's appreciated by the attorneys. It's appreciated by the public. These things really have to be maintained in order to get the job done.
Judge, what is the most difficult decision somebody who sits on the bench has to make?
And I think that varies case to case, but the deprivation of someone's life, liberty, money, children, depending on the case, if you were to be sitting in a domestic relations case, you might make a decision that removes a child from someone's custody and places it into another custody. Extremely difficult. In addition, when you're dealing with the heavy felony cases, again, you could potentially be depriving someone of their life. You certainly are going to be depriving people of their liberty on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah.
If you're hearing the heavy felonies. So I think anyone who can make those decisions lightly shouldn't be on a bench.
Yeah.
That should concern you. That should be something that you look at very seriously and take very seriously, because when people go to court, it impacts them.
It does.
It's very serious, and
Yep.
it's very serious to them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, what challenges are currently facing the 19th Judicial Circuit that need some attention?
And I don't know that the 19th is any different than any other circuit in this way. And I will say drugs and alcohol. A good bit of what I see, and I think what other judges see, is drugs and alcohol. Addiction is rampant. Fentanyl has not helped. But alcoholism, drug addiction impacts a good many of the people that we see. And were it not for addiction, the likelihood is these people wouldn't be in court.
Yeah.
And that holds true not only for the criminal cases, but also for a lot of the domestic relations cases as well.
Yep. You know, there's been a real, it seems to be that there's been a real rise in the use of fentanyl and that stuff. And if you're out there and you are struggling with substance abuse and you don't know what to do, you don't know where to go, shoot me a private message. I want to help get you connected to some people. There are wonderful people who would love to help you. And I do believe that Jesus Christ is the hope for humanity. And we want to get you connected to a pastor and to a church and to an organization that can help you get freedom. Judge, what role should judges play in protecting victims while ensuring defendants receive a fair trial?
That's a great question, especially in light of on May 19th at the primary, one of the amendments on the back of the ballot was the Anais Law Amendment. And I'll go into that just a little bit.
Yes.
It used to be, when I started practicing law, you could not deny someone bail unless it was capital murder. Well, Anais Law came along, and now hearings are held. Anais Law hearings are held, and judges can deny bail for the more egregious, violent felonies. And what this recent amendment did was it expanded it even further to include more crimes.
Yeah.
So a judge now has a lot more discretion, but under Rule 7.2 of the Alabama Rules of Criminal Procedure, there's a bond schedule. But again, it's a recommended bond schedule. And under Rule 7.3, a judge has discretion to tailor a bond to add special provisions. For instance, an ankle monitor. Or I'm going to insist that you seek drug and alcohol treatment while on bond. These can all be made conditions of bond. So conditions of bond set by a judge, I think, are very important in protecting community. But Rule 7 of the Alabama Rules of Criminal Procedure, which deals specifically with bonds, the two most important factors that a judge should consider when dealing with bond are, one, is this person a threat to themselves or the community? What is the safety of the community? And two, are they a flight risk? So there's some other factors to include family and employment and previous criminal record and some other things. But those are the two main, strongest factors that are considered by a judge in protecting victims.
You know, that is some wonderful information. And, you know, a lot of that stuff, you know, the people just don't know.
Oh.
So.
Well, and why would you?
Yeah.
If you don't do this for a living, how would you know?
Yeah, and, you know, that just goes back to us voting on the 16th. We need people in there who know this stuff.
Thank you.
So, what concerns are you hearing most often from the citizens about the judicial system, Judge?
If you scroll around social media, which is where people today usually voice their complaints.
Oh, yeah.
What I hear mostly on social media is fairness You know, I'm angry with Judge so and so because they weren't fair. They sided with the other party because whatever the case may be. And so I think one of the most important judicial canons that we're responsible for as judges is to preserve the integrity of the bench. The public must feel that the bench is impartial and that it's doing a good job, to put it very bluntly.
Yeah.
If the public loses that sense of trust in the bench, we got a problem.
That's it. And public trust for the people is important, because especially when somebody who's running for such a significant position as place number 5 judge, it's an elected position, and there just needs to be good trust there, Judge. And thanks for sharing that. So, do you see the role of a judge as strictly interpreting the law, or should broader considerations come into play?
Absolutely, strictly interpreting. I think when you get activist judges on the bench and they want to add whatever their political beliefs are, or personal beliefs or biases, again, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Interpreting the law is what a judge does, and again, I'm a strict fundamentalist. I follow what it says. I don't. As a friend of mine used to say, I read the black part.
Yeah.
Don't add anything to it. Don't take anything away. It's all right there. And what's interesting about that, and I think what a lot of people don't know, is the way the law works is there's statutory law. So there's a statute that says you can't steal. But then there's case law. So the higher courts, the Court of Criminal Appeals, the Court of Civil Appeals, and the Supreme Court, will then actually go back and review previous trials to determine what that law is. Does it need to stay? Does it need to go? Does it need to be altered or amended? Do we need a new trial? And so you have case law, you have statutory law. What you should not have is a third edition of whatever that judge is going to do. It needs to stay within the realm of what the law is.
Yeah. Let me ask this, this is a little off script, but this is something I kind of want to know too, and maybe you're out there, you may want to know that. Is a judge, if somebody comes before the judge and they're just guilty, is a judge allowed to give them some type of mercy?
Oh, absolutely. And I think if you go to Chilton County, I don't know if it still is, but it used to be on the wall in the courtroom, justice tempered with mercy. Absolutely. And I think not everybody needs to go to jail. Certainly some do.
Yeah.
But situations are independent for each person, and the circumstances are different. The facts are different.
Yeah.
So again, the judicial canons which govern the ethical behavior of judges, and I believe it's Canon 7, subsection B, states that I, as a judge or as a judicial candidate, cannot sit here and tell you what I would do in some future case. I can't make those predictions. But I can tell you that every case is different, and everyone has their own special set of circumstances, and the law needs to be applied to that set of facts.
Yep. Thanks for answering that, Judge.
Sure.
Listen, I just kind of slipped that one right in on the judge. So let's talk about this. When the law and public opinion seem to conflict, what guides your decision making?
The law, 100% the law. I cannot be swayed by what is being said on the internet.
Yeah.
What is being said in some cases in the national media.
Yeah.
The law has to be followed, and the job has to be done.
Right.
And if you don't have the fortitude to stand up to that kind of pressure, and it is tough, but you need to go find something else to do.
That's right. Yep. And it's important for the viewers to understand that public opinion is not law.
It is not.
Yeah.
But it frequently is much louder.
Yes, it is. Hey, listen, Judge, I'm going to tell you right now. You get on some of these uncut pages, there's some loud opinions on there.
Yes.
Let me ask you this, Judge. How important is judicial temperament, and how will you describe yours?
I think it's extremely important, and I'm pretty even keeled. It really takes quite a bit to get me upset, but I think it's extremely important, not just for the courthouse staff, but for the attorneys that have to appear before that judge, for the litigants that have to appear before that judge. Let's say, for instance, that you're a law-abiding guy. You pay your taxes. You go to church every Sunday. You're a good guy, but you just didn't see that stop sign. And you run a stop sign and you get a stop sign ticket and you go to court, and now you're being screamed at by some judge. And you're not a bad guy. You got a traffic ticket. Yeah. You don't need to be abused by somebody who's angry or unhappy or whatever the case may be. You need to be treated with the same courtesy that you would treat someone else.
Yep. Well, Judge, I'm just going to be honest with you. I cannot confirm nor deny that I have run a stop sign. Okay?
I think we all have.
What accountability should judges have to the public they serve?
Every bit of it. Again, I think one of the most important judicial canons that we're responsible for is maintaining the integrity of the court. If I'm not doing that, and if I'm not promoting the belief that this is a just, intelligent, and fair court, then I've let the public down. So I think it's incredibly important that we're accountable.
Yeah. Now that we are headed to a runoff, what would you say to the voters who are undecided?
Vote experience. I went to a number of Memorial Day services on the 30th, and what bothered me was you're standing in these VFWs with these very wonderful men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces who have served, and some of them did not come back. Some of them died in the mud in foreign places to give us this right to vote. But yet the primary election, I believe, had a voter turnout of 24%. That's abysmal. And the runoff is expected to be half of that. So if we're predicting numbers like 12%, we can't have that. Get out and vote.
Yes.
And when you vote, do some research.
Yeah.
Do some examination. Vote experience.
Yep. And I guess here's what bothers me. It bothers me that because I'm a part of a few of these Facebook groups, and let me just tell you something, there are some keyboard warriors in those. But I guess what bothers me so much is that people love to complain, they love to gossip, they love to do all this stuff, but those are most of the people who are not getting out and voting. So,
there's a metal sign,
Yeah.
and I have seen this metal sign inside one of the VFWs, and also I've seen it hanging on the fence at the ballpark, and it says, "Before you complain, have you volunteered?" And it's a wonderful sign.
Yeah.
But I could not agree with you more in your sentiment.
Yeah, I'm just going to tell you, when we voted, what was it, May 19th? It took me 10 minutes.
Exactly.
There are tons. So how these things are set up, you vote at a certain place.
Yep.
Know where you're supposed to go vote at. Go there. It's easy to get in and out. Let's just go vote. Let me ask you this, Judge. And I think this is a big question for the people. If elected, what can the citizens of the 19th Judicial Circuit expect from you on day one?
Hard work. Hard work. I'm real serious about working hard and getting it done. I want to get in there, and I want to get to work.
Yeah.
The work that's required requires intelligence.
Yes, it does.
requires
Yep.
knowledge. It requires experience, and I want to get in there and get it done.
Yep. Let me ask you this final question, Judge.
Sure.
And, once again, I'm very humbled that somebody of your stature would come sit in this little low podcast studio.
Well, it's funny that you asked me that. I had a gentleman stop me on the street today and said, "Are you a judge?" And I said, "I am." And he said, "Are you a big judge?" I said, "Well, I'm 6'4".
Yeah. That's right. Hey, listen. Not only does he have impeccable hair, he's got an impeccable stature too. Here's the final question, Judge, and when we get done, I want to share a Bible verse, because on this podcast we not only believe in Jesus, but we proclaim him, and we are not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, because of Romans 1:16. We believe that it is the power to save. So I'm going to share a verse, Judge, but let me just ask you this. When voters leave the ballot box, what is one thing you hope they remember about Brad Ekdahl?
Service. I said, I've been serving the community for the last 20 years in the role of either prosecutor, judge, defense attorney, or guardian ad litem. I want to continue that service as your next circuit court judge for Place 5.
Yes. Thank you for that, Judge. But there's one question. I'm going to throw this in there too. I believe, and I don't know if you know about this, you can just set me straight if I'm wrong in this. I believe there's going to be another forum.
That's correct. My understanding is it's going to be June the 11th at the Doster Center in downtown Prattville.
Do you know what time that's going to be? I don't know the time. Listen, if
I've not heard. I would just assume 6 or thereabouts.
Yeah, comment in the comments of this video, and that way, I think it's important for the people to show up. Let's show up. Let's support the candidates. They're going to support us if elected. So, I want to read this verse right here, and I want to tell you guys that the first off, that this book is not American. It does not cater to American culture. And I want to tell you, if me and Judge Ekdahl lived our life, let's just say he became the biggest judge the world's ever seen. And something tremendous happened, and I have all these accolades. At the end of my life, if I didn't have Jesus as my personal Savior, it would be for nothing. Okay? And I want to read this to you. It's John 8, verse 12. It says, Jesus spoke to the people once more and said, I am the light of the world. If you follow me, you won't have to walk in darkness, because I will give you the light that leads to life. And if you don't know Jesus, it's the greatest decision that you've ever made. And if you're wondering, should I go to church, should I whatever, man, we want to get you connected to a church. We want to get you connected, and we want you to have a right relationship with Jesus. And, before we close, don't forget to go vote. June 16th, the runoff. Get on the Secretary of State website, the voter registration website, find out where you're going to vote. There's a forum going to be going on at the Doster Center on June the 11th. Come out, hear the candidates, hear what they got to say. Don't dive into the rumors. Don't dive into what people are saying. Listen, there are people who get their fix off of spreading false information. Show up to the forum. Let it come out of the candidate's mouth before you decide. And Judge, I'd like to pray. That's okay.
That'd be wonderful.
Father, we just come to you right now, Lord, and anybody who's watching this, maybe they're undecided. God, I just pray that your Spirit give them help guide them in their decisions. And Father, if anybody be watching this who does not have a personal relationship, Lord, I just pray right now, Lord, that their heart turns towards you. Lord, you are the light of the world. And for anyone who walks in darkness, Lord, you are the light. And we thank you for this. In Jesus' mighty name, we pray, amen. Judge,
Amen.
we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you
appreciate
for coming out for a third time. To the viewers of the Big Vision podcast, thank you for watching this stuff. It's incredibly important. The heart and vision of this thing is to let you see the candidate. It's important that you see what they say. So when this comes out, like it, share it, and remember, take Jesus everywhere you go.